Check, check, check. Now we got audio. Unreal. Driving in the car, no audio. Finally, now we have audio. Welcome to the show. Unreal. Driving in the car, no audio. Now we got audio. Alrighty, so just finished my closing. I'm on my way to the office right now. Check in hand. Guys, who out there is ready to buy or sell this year? As I said earlier, if you were paying attention to the first live feed, I got a massive goal set for myself this year with Discover Connecticut, the Discover Connecticut team, Coldwell Banker. I want to work with everybody. I want to work with you, okay? You want to sell your house? I'm going to get you more money than you've ever thought of getting in your entire life. You want to go buy a house? I'm going to somehow get you a deal in this market when no one's getting. Just closed on a rental under ask. That's how I work. Okay, so if you work hard for you, make sure you reach out to me. Okay, I'm going to quickly share something with you guys. It doesn't happen very often because I do a lot more people out there, but people will occasionally bring up commission. What's your commission? How much do you charge? Can you do it for less? It's like, 17 years, I've heard this a lot. Never have, never will. I earn a full commission because I do more, first of all. Secondly, I fight my commission. You should be assured because I'm going to fight for your value. If you're an agent, I'm throwing this out there. This is absolute, but I'm throwing it out there. This is an opinion. I believe this is willing to take less to get your business. They are going to push any deal that they get into your face and say, take it, take it, take it. The client got. He was not concerned with what their final valuation was and how much money they pulled into their pocket. To him, it was about transaction. I've lost out on 20, 30 deals in my career by telling my clients, no, don't buy. My clients are looking at stuff that I don't think has weight and is going to only cause them issues in the future. Oh, but I can handle it. What you'll see when you watch the episode of Discover Connecticut, because guys, I'm 46, okay? I'm going to be selling because he years with different agents. I think about 30 agents that had this listing. I had it 7th along, and then after I lost it in 2015. I had it 7th along, and then after I lost it in 2015 to it had a pond in the backyard, it had an indoor basketball court, 4-story sports complex, completely insane. And I went in to see him because I was working with a New York Yankee. And market, go and find me something that's not on the market. And so go and find me something that's not on the market. And so I called this owner because the house had been on the market prior, but it was off for about this. I called this owner because the house had been on the market prior, but it was off for about this. Spent about 2 hours with this man. An unbelievable human being. And at the end of the 2 hours, but he calls me after and he goes, no, that's not the property for me. I'd love to do business with that guy though. He's like, oh, see if he'll want to do some business. I don't need partners. This guy donated, the story is $250 million to Harvard. He didn't need this baseball player's money, okay? And so he said, thank you for showing it. I'm all set. Tell your guy good luck. So I called my client, I told him that. And then I said, you know what? I want to reach out to this Rodney and thank him personally for allowing me to show this property to him, spending 2 hours with us. He's clearly super heart, this guy had so much heart. So I went to see him. Actually, I went to see him to thank him. And I said, look, I really would love an opportunity to list your house. I could sell this property. And he goes, Mark, everybody comes into my office, they all want my listing, and then I never hear from them again. It's literally, I can still hear him saying this to me. He just passed away 2 months ago. This guy was amazing. So he says, I'm not putting the house on the market. Everybody comes in, they all want my listing, and I never hear from them again. So I took note of that. I took a mental kind of note, and I said to myself, all right, he said no one ever comes to see him again. I'm going to come back again next month. And then in fact, as I was walking out the door, I said, I'm going to go in every month. I'm going to show him that I'm not like anybody else out there. And so I go in the next month. And as I get in there, I said, I wanted to see if I could see Rodney and just say hello. He had 2 assistants, and his 2 assistants were amazing. Bernadette was one of them. Bernadette, I love you if you're out there. And Bernadette says, take a seat, Mark. Rodney's just in the middle of a few phone calls. I said, look, he doesn't have time. I could come back. She goes, no, sit down. Sit down. So I'd sit there and we'd talk for like 15, 20 minutes every time. And she was such a sweetheart. We'd have these nice conversations. And then all of a sudden the phone would ring and she'd pick up and she'd go, Mark, Rodney will see you now. And she'd put the phone back down and I'd get up and open the door, and right across the hall was another door that was Rodney's office. So I'd open the door and go in to see Rodney. And for 12, 13 months I did this every month. And this guy would hit me with the most amazing pearls of wisdom. For example, he's telling me as he sits me down in this really nice chair, he's sitting next to me, he goes, how are things? And I said, they're going great. I'm doing this, I'm hustling, I'm trying to do this with the drone. At the time, the drone was the thing that no one else had thought of, and I was all over the news at the time. And I said, I'm on Fox News next week, and they're looking for a property. And, would you consider putting your house on? We can make a huge episode out of it. No, I was on NBC Open House 2 years ago. I have no interest in having my property on TV, And so that was the only time I brought up his house over the 12 months that I was there, to try to see if he would consider relisting or with me. So month after month I go in there, and each month he sits me down, chats with me. One of the stories I'll never forget. He says, Mark, just keep doing what you're doing. It's about hustle and it's about integrity. And he said, I want to share a story with you. I was in Idaho, and I'm an insurance salesman. It's my first time out selling insurance. I have my first child, and my wife and I are living in Idaho, in Boise, and I'm servicing small medical professions, doctors, family doctors, and I go in to see this one doctor, and he goes, look, I don't have time for this. Here's what I have. Let me know what I'm missing. And so Rodney looks through his entire package. The guy comes back, he goes, oh, so what do I need? What else do I need? And he goes, do you have any more employees? Any new employees? Any new children? Anything like that? He's like, no, nothing new. He goes, well, what you have here is sufficient, sir. This is a good plan. If anything changes, if you do get any new employees, you have a new child, anything like that, please let me know. I'd love an opportunity to earn your business. And the guy goes, look again. And he goes, sir, I looked at it. What you have here is a sufficient plan. He goes, look again. And Rodney goes, I'm not going to try to sell you something you don't need, sir. Whoever made this plan for you did a nice job, but I help you save some money and keep you, protected going forward. And the guy was like completely salesman, come in here and not try to sell me something in order to get a loaf of bread that month, or in order to pay some bills. And because of that integrity, I earned all of the business of every doctor in Boise. They all started calling me. They didn't want to work with the other guys anymore. He said, I took over the entire area. And then before long, I started my own business. And before long, I sold that and started another one. And he's telling me all this, and he's like, so let me share something with you, Mark. It may not happen today. It's working hard. Just keep showing up for your clients. Keep the integrity that's the central part of you, and keep that at your core. One day someone's going to see it like I do, and they're going to reward you for it. This was 2013, so it was 12 years ago now, guys. I haven't seen the success that he said would come my way yet. But the point was, he did say don't ever stop, and that's what I've been pretty much a shining example of that. So basically, bottom line is this. I love that man. As I walk into the office, this is the first time I ever saw his door open. Never saw his door open before. And so I'm like, that's weird. And as I walk in, his shoulders slumped. And he goes, Mark, we sold the house. Now, he had a guy he was personally trying to have sell to Chinese investors, Russian oligarchs, that type of thing. And this guy wound up finding success with this guy named Neo, who was from Hong Kong. So he goes, I sold the house to this investor, and I'm like, oh, my heart drops. And he goes, but don't worry, he wants to flip it. And I go, what? He wants to flip it? I was like, he does know you took 12 years to sell this, right? He's like, yeah, but no, he thinks he could flip it and he can make money. I'm like, this is totally insane. There's no money to be made. Like, he tried 15 million, all these crazy numbers, and then eventually sold it to this guy for like $8.9 million, okay? That guy, 2 months after he bought it for $8.9 million, decides he wants $15 million and has me put it on. I was the first agent to get it from this new owner. He beat me up for a year, totally beat me up. Like, I had phone calls every Sunday night with 10 people in Hong Kong, and I'm all alone. And what they're basically doing is yelling at me and telling me I can't sell because they bought a house for 8.9 million, and within a month they wanted 15, and no one bought it at 7 when it was on for auction. So like, you paid more than anybody wanted to pay for it in America. And so I said, look, he's like, I don't care if I sell it. I'm trying to brand my business. I wanted people to know about my business. And so, fine, you want to do a branding play? I'll do that. So I did that, and then all of a sudden it changed. It wasn't about branding. He really wanted me to sell the property. He beat me up the whole time. After the year, I lost the listing. Give it to somebody else. And I said to myself, for what that guy put me through, I don't ever want to see this property again. They're going to sell it and be pissed off, whoever sold it. And so I said, I never want to see this property again. 2020, 5 years later, end of 2020, 5 years later, I see expired listings. I look at expired listings every day. I see this house expired. I'm like, did someone buy it and then try to resell it? And it expired at like $6 million. I was like, what? I had it at 15. They're telling me I couldn't sell. They couldn't. 5 years later, it's at $6 million. So I sent a message to Neo on LinkedIn. We're friends. I said, hey Neo, not for nothing, but if you give me that listing at $6 million, I'll sell it every day of the week. And so he responded. He goes, oh, I forgot about you. I saw what you've been doing with your show and the music. He goes, I have the stage there, and I have the basketball court. He says, I want to do what you're doing. I want you to bring that lifestyle stuff you're doing to the property and market it that way. I said, that's what I want to do. And so like all of a sudden he kind of helped me realize Discover Connecticut is where I need to start taking this thing. He literally was saying like, Mark, I want you to do the stuff you've been doing with the music and with the comedy, all that stuff, but at my property because I have a stage there and I've got the sound system, I've got the pond. And he's like, I want you to create a lifestyle experience at my property. So I got this listing back 5.5 years after I had it the first time, and I sold it. And there's a great piece of YouTube content on this and how you never give up. And even me, I did. I was like, I never want to see this property again. And I didn't give up, though. I actually eventually got that listing back, and I realized you don't ever give up, because I never would have gotten to that closing if I said, I never want to see that property again, which I did for 5 years. I almost didn't send that client the message to say, hey, not for nothing, I can sell that every day of the week at 6. You just 15? And I sent it. It reminds me of another time I went for a listing that I almost didn't call on the client. I saw it expired listing. I almost called, and then I'm like, this guy doesn't want to talk to me. You kind of do this to yourself. You start thinking, these people don't want to talk to you. And so I threw the phone down, and like 30 seconds later as I'm driving, I'm like, what's another no? Picked it up, gave him a call, and I wound up getting that listing. It was like a $1.8 million listing. So at the end of the day, guys, you got to always take your shots. We are here in this moment. There is nothing else. Yesterday's gone, tomorrow doesn't exist. There is only this. And so if you have a feeling, if you have an urge to do something, you got to do it. You got to do it immediately because your intuition's telling you something. So anyway, I got to get going now, guys. I do appreciate you. I hope to see you later. Again, this is another episode of Discover Connecticut after my closing, and I got to go now, drop off the check, and back to it. It's Friday. I got a lot of stuff going on. Got to get my hair cut. Hopefully I'll see you later with a proper do. Hey, until then, it's Mark Pires at Discover.